there was something else. I said, well, tell us how it started. Our state is towns about that. I go like, no, she got her
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The August 5th meeting of the Sugarland Development Corporation is called to order. Public comment, Madam Secretary, do you have any public comment?
No one signed up.
Okay, thank you. Anybody here would like to comment? Okay, thank you very much. Number 4, election of officers, Sugarland Development Corporation. Consideration of and action on election of a board president and vice president. It's going to be handled by Alba Peñate Johnson.
Good afternoon, board. How are you? So according to the Sugarland Development Corporation bylaws, Article 3, Section 3.01, each year the board will elect a president and vice president for the corporation for a 1-year term. Each officer holds the office until a successor is elected. So some of the roles and responsibilities: the president presides at all board meetings and performs any other duties required by these bylaws or the board. The president may appoint directors and other persons to serve on standing or ad hoc committees to make recommendations to the board. And then the vice president performs the duties of the president if the president is absent or unable to act in any other duties as assigned by the board. So this past year in this term, the board selected Stuart Jacobson and Nashad Kamali to serve as president and vice president. So now I'll turn it over to the board for your election of officers.
Would I like to nominate anyone? Carol, I'm sorry, Mayor.
I'm Carol. I think I'm Carol in this situation. Anyway, I would like to nominate Stuart Jacobson to continue as board president. Second.
Any other nominations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You need a nomination for vice president, please. But you can nominate yourself if you want to be it.
Vice President.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
Okay, any others? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any against?
Later, Stuart.
Thank you, Alma. Item number 5, budget, Sugarland Development Corporation. Consideration of and action on amending the fiscal year 2025 budget to projections. Adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget and a recommendation of the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget to the members of City Council. And we have Justin Mayorato, Assistant Director of Budget. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. Back before you here today for the next step in the budget process for the SLDC. Today, we're going to cover a quick review of the FY25 fiscal year and projections, as well as review that FY26 proposed budget. And then we'll take 2 separate actions. The first one being amending 25 to projections, and the second being the approval and recommendation. First, just a little background on the projections amendment. This is typically done annually for all the funds that the city has, with the goal of formalizing all of the year-to-date budget amendments that were approved by both the board and council in a final amendment ordinance, as well as presenting a more accurate fiscal year in a picture for each fund. But in order to do this, the board must first approve that amendment. So looking again here at fiscal year 25, since we last met on July 1st, the city did receive its July sales tax allocation. That did come in at 16% higher than the budget for the month. This pushed our year-to-date actual collections, essentially the year-to-date budget, to be 11% over that budget estimate. This trend continues out into August and September. We're looking at roughly $970,000 additional sales tax revenue over that original budget estimate. Again, just a few key changes from our adopted budget since we were here this time last year. Again, recognizing that strong sales tax revenue coming in at 11% of the budget through July, better than anticipated interest income. The SLDC did have one budget amendment that's been approved year to date, and that was the $659,000, moving that smart financial debt service payment over from our hotel occupancy tax fund. So far this fiscal year, we have had two uses of the reserve for opportunities. Originally, that was budgeted at 5 million. We've since then used 2.5, with 1.5 million of that going to the plug and play startup incubator program. And then 1 million for administrative and earnest money associated with that Imperial property purchase. Kind of put this into a financial summary here and look back at the originally adopted budget. We can see the revenues are coming in just at about $1 million higher than anticipated. Our expenditures are now $660,000 with that budget amendment that was done for the debt service. This brings us a net income that's about $360,000 better than we anticipated at the start of the fiscal year. This comes down to our ending fund balance and our available, leaving us with an available fund balance at the end of the year of 19.5 million. That is 18.1 million better than that policy requirement of 1.3. The 1.3 policy requirement is based on 15% of that originally budgeted sales. Bond coverage ratio has a 1.25 times minimum coverage, and we're setting very healthy above that at 3.5 times coverage by the end of the fiscal year. So with that, I will take any questions on fiscal year 25 projections if we have any.
Questions, anyone? All right, in that case, we'll need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget to projections.
Motion.
I second.
Okay, Watley and Singal. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, thank you. Justin, go right ahead.
All right, on to FY26. Which, as a reminder, the FY26 revenue anticipates 10.5 million in revenues, with sales tax making up 9.5 million of that. We have 1 million in interest earnings, and that's estimated based on roughly a $24 million beginning fund balance and current portfolio yields of 4.27%. The miscellaneous revenues and the TERS assignments that we've received in fiscal year 25 will be going away in FY26, and so that'll be roughly our $1 million decrease from FY25 revenues to fiscal year 26. We did have some questions last time on the investment yield, so I just kind of wanted to illustrate that 4.27 that we have picked up for the month of April was the latest at the time that we were doing the initial estimates. It's kind of the low point in the recent portfolio yields. They have ticked up just a few basis points since then. And looking at the calculation here at the top, beginning fund balance of 24.3 million. Assuming we earn 4.27 of that, rounded to an even million, math works out to truly about 4.1% for the budget estimate for fiscal year 26. I think that leaves us a little leeway as we see investment yields adjust over the next few months. Then, of course, staff will always review those monthly as we publish the investment report and revise next year's fiscal year projections as necessary. Looking again at expenses for fiscal year 26, total expenditure budget is 16.52 million. 6.3 of that in the economic development program, consisting of 1.2 million for the program operating budget. That includes our 250,000 for the first year, the second year of the FIPA sponsorship program that you all will be considering later this afternoon, as well as 1 million in reserve for opportunities. And 4.1 in incentives. Transfer outside, we do have 5 million that consists of 3.3 million being transferred to the debt service fund. That'll cover next year's debt service requirements on the COs we just issued for Imperial. We have 1.6 million going out to the general fund. That will be staff salary reimbursements as well as our cost allocation plan. And then 50,000 to the airport fund to support international marketing efforts. Debt service of 3 million, that's going to be slightly different than the transfer to debt service in that that's paying the true obligations of the sales tax revenue bonds that are of the Sugarland Development Corporation. And then lastly, we do have 2.3 million in capital projects to support infrastructure and site development.
I have a question. Can I ask now or at the end?
No, go right ahead.
That 4.1 incentive, is it something already promised or this includes the new incentive?
It's a mix, I'd say. Alba's provided, I believe, detail there. Some of those are from agreements that staff had worked to develop in the past. Some of them are new ongoing agreements. And some of them are basic funding in fiscal year 26 for the board to consider those agreements later when they bring them before you.
The reason I ask this question is because our revenue is 10 and we are spending 60. So we are digging into our reserve. So we cannot continue to do that with much overspending. So I was looking for ways where we can possibly reduce the expenditure. But go ahead and we can possibly have a discussion at that.
Looking at the financial overview, we're kind of comparing that fiscal year 25 year projection to the 26 budget. Our revenues are roughly 1.09 million lower than we're projecting for the end of fiscal year 25. Again, that's due to the TERS 1 assignments and the miscellaneous revenues going away. On the expenditure side, we do have roughly 650,000 higher than 2025. Planning for a drawdown of 6 million in fund balance for fiscal year 26. However, we do still end with an available fund balance of 13 million, which is 11.7 over that policy requirement. The sales tax and interest income revenues in FY 26 gave us a healthy bond coverage ratio of 3.5 times coverage still. So with that, I'll take questions before we.
Questions? I have one. So Dustin, as Sanjay mentioned, we're digging into the reserves a little bit. Am I off base in thinking that if we have greatly excess reserves, that it's really not a good use of the taxpayers' money to let it sit? Particularly whenever we do an expenditure or we incur debt, we only do it within the ability of our fund to repay. So I've always thought running huge balances, reserves, is actually not a good use of the taxpayers' money. Am I kind of in the right ballpark here?
Yes, sir. That's the goal here. Is it also kind of offsets that we may have to issue, which will be paying interest rate, of course. Utilizing that fund balance to pay some of the shorter term loans. Is probably the better route. In addition to that, we look at a 5 up to 20-year forecast and monitor that fund balance to make sure that drawdown of fund balance eventually comes back positive if we dip anywhere near that policy requirement.
So Stuart, I am okay with you. Yeah,
Question?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I am okay that I think having a much reserve is not good use of the money. So one option would be to pay some of the debts early. But I was just highlighting that because we are running 4 to 5 million loss every year, we can possibly do 2-3 more years. And then a time will come where the debt service will catch up and we will not be able to give incentive anymore. So that was the point which I was making here.
Are we planning on spending down $4 million every year?
I have to look back at the 5-year forecast, but it does incorporate some of the existing debt service paying off in the long term, as well as the natural growth and revenues. Another factor here is that we typically use that reserve for opportunities as kind of a lever, depending on what incentives we want to offer or what other capital projects we want to pursue in the 5-year forecast.
So we build in the reserve for opportunities, and often we don't use it all, and that just dumps into the reserves from year to year. I think with the fact that we have that the SLDC is made up of the entire council, that we would not approve a budget that would dip us too low. Yeah. Any other questions?
No.
Comments?
Yeah, I've got a
Anybody?
couple questions here. To answer Sanjay's question of 4.1 million for incentives, looks like 3.2 is allocated for the 26 fiscal year. 859K is left over remaining. So that has to be allocated. Do we do a kind of a return of experience from the companies that we have issued out to and see how they're doing historically since we've issued the incentives? I know we've got a list here And it looks like our max is allocated up through what, fiscal year 35?
Well, there's, I'm looking at it a little behind.
So there's a 10-year forecast for all compliance agreements because they are 10-year agreements. We do compliance on every single agreement every year. So they're all performance based and there are certain metrics and deliverables that every company needs to meet every year to make those payments. The payments that you see on the spreadsheet are if they met all of those deliverables and got full payment. For FY 25, it's been great that every company that has completed their compliance has gotten full payment. The goal. The two that are highlighted, which is AOI and Team Industrial, their due dates have not come up yet. Those are in September, so we have yet to see those. But yes, they all complete compliance every single year of the agreement.
Follow up?
Yeah, follow up, kind of on a different subject though. So I'm looking at do you want to go back to the total budget and where we're spending it? Maybe it wasn't that slide. But I see the 1.2 for marketing, business relations and other things, which is separate from obviously economic incentives. One thing I'd like to see is a review of the usefulness of where we're spending that money. You know, if we're going over the budget today for allocation, we just want to make sure that we're achieving our goals of, you know, promoting business within Sugar Land. Again, during the campaigning, I remember a lot of empty office spaces. I'd be very interested to know what we're doing to help drive down some of that and how it aligns with what we're proposing with the budget and what the direction of the city staff is in that regard.
May I comment?
Sure.
Thanks. One of the things, and this is just because you guys have just come on, right? One of the things is that we have to agree to hire public relations firms and such. And as a matter of fact, we just let one go because they didn't live up to their promises. So we as a board, and then also 4B, we pay together for these services. So we both have to approve and the city council has to approve. So these contracts come up regularly. So we'll get to go really deep and we'll see presentations from these folks. We'll get to go real deep into this. So any more follow-ups or any other questions? Yeah, Sanjay, go ahead.
Yeah, so as and when those contracts come up, would the council get a chance to review them?
Yes, absolutely.
Is there any base value below which it can be just automatically avoided?
What happens is these boards, these corporations will decide on that and then recommend to council. And at that point, council can ask questions as well. But presumably we'll have already asked, since we're the same people as council, we'll have already asked those questions, you know, knock wood. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, on that one. On that same note, then, if we're talking about the use of the funds, so I noticed we have some capital improvement projects on this. You want to touch on kind of what that covers? Looks like it's street rehab. But why this bucket versus say another?
That was a good question, I believe, at the last meeting. I think when we go through that CIP process, engineering goes through and utilizes various different studies, I guess, to show which areas we would like to do rehabilitation events. Well, it's more considering the availability of funding and the allowable use of the SLDC or the SL4B. Typically, those are also taken related to council for initial review as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they drill down what the representative projects are for the upcoming fiscal year as well as the 5-year forecast.
If we didn't spend it from this, yeah, follow up. If we didn't spend it from this bucket, do we still have any from the bond that we just took out for that same purpose?
Let's see, we have engineering.
The bond was dedicated for those specific projects that we took when we issued that the citizens voted on.
So the ones for this are outside the scope of.
That's specifically.
More of an open-ended question, just seeing if that's the right use of the funds, if we're looking for economic development, just using on roads, or if we think there's other better uses of the money.
I do want to add that the type 8 funds are meant to also, or are allowed by state statute to be used for infrastructure on major business thoroughfares. And so Our engineering team will come in and do a presentation to the board every year on the projects that they've gotten funded for. But a lot of those are for major thoroughfares like Highway 90 and a lot of the roads in our business park, in order to, again, alleviate some of that financial burden, but also make sure that the streets are open and ready for business, specifically in our business park areas and Highway 90 and places like that. So they're very specific to those business areas.
Just curious what other people think of members.
And we've been here a while and we've been through this before. Is there a place, Alba, or anyone that we can find where, and I know there's specific use of funds that we're regulated to use and we've kind of understood what those are. Can we get a list of how our, some type of information where we can understand the use of funds again, what they can be used for and can't be used for? I know that we're using some 4A and SLDC on Imperial, we're using from a Lake Point, and those don't qualify for anything else. So it's confusing, but if there is a list we can get of what funds we can use how. That would be helpful.
We definitely can, and next month will be the orientation for the board where we will cover all that information.
Great, that's perfect, thank you. That's helpful.
Anybody else, other questions? Okay, what we need now is we need a motion to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget and recommend it to council.
Second.
Second, Dar, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any against? Okay, thanks, Justin. Jennifer's gonna come around and pick up these charts. Now, we want to invite our 4B friends because they're going to convene the 4B and we're going to have a joint workshop. Then go ahead and since you'll have the floor.
So I need to call to order Sugarland 4B Corporation meeting for August 5th at 4:22. Thanks. And then we'll move to item 6, the workshop, joint workshop review of and discussion of the FIFA World Cup 2026 sponsorship agreement. Allison Brooks will lead this thing.
I'm Allison Brooks, I'm the Assistant Director of Tourism. I oversee the Visit Sugarland division. So today I'm here to talk to you guys about a partnership opportunity the Visit Sugarland is pursuing with the Houston Host Committee ahead of the World Cup next summer. And since we have a few new faces in the audience, I did want to start off by briefly just sharing a little bit about Visit Sugarland and who we are and what we do. So Visit Sugarland is the official destination management organization, or DMO, for the city of Sugarland. And we represent the city's tourism arm for the city. And our purpose is to attract visitors to the city and help create positive experiences while they're here with us. And our goal is to generate hotel occupancy tax and sales tax from our visitors. We then work to reinvest those funds back into our tourism economy and just continue that cycle of economic development. And we do that by marketing Sugarland as a great place to visit for unique experiences, by supporting our venues, hotels, and businesses to attract larger audiences, and helping plan and support conferences and events that benefit our hotels and local attractions. So overall, our purpose is to increase economic impact by increasing our hotel stays, spending at local businesses, and showcasing Sugarland as a top destination. And we are very excited about World Cup taking place, like I mentioned, in summer of 2026. I have a very exciting partnership opportunity to discuss with you guys today that Visit Sugarland has really been working on with the Houston Host Committee and with FIFA. But first, I did want to introduce a couple of guests I have with me today in the room. I have Chris Canetti, who is president of the Host Committee, and I have Kim Skates, who's a senior director of fundraising with us here today. So I'm going to pass it to them just by start off by sharing a little bit more about how Houston became a host city how we got here today, and then I'll move into the details of the sponsorships.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for having us here today, and thanks for considering this opportunity. My name is Chris Canetti. I'm the president of the Houston 2026 World Cup Host Committee, and I happen to be a Fort Bend County resident who spent lots of time here in Sugar Land with my family, dining, shopping, playing on the soccer fields, the aquarium, the swimming, and the pools, and all the other good things. So thanks for considering this opportunity. I want to tell you a little bit about the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is going to be the largest sporting event in the history of the world. And that's not an exaggeration. Not an exaggeration. I see the laughing. I think pretty much everybody can understand the World Cup's already a big deal. But let me tell you why this is the biggest of all time. For the first time ever, this event's being held in 3 countries, the US, Mexico, and Canada. It's been held in 2 countries before, but never in 3. This event is being held in 16 cities, 3 in Mexico, 2 in Canada, and 11 in the United States. For the first time, the tournament is expanding from 32 teams to 48 teams. And when you expand the number of teams, you need to expand the number of matches. So it's going from 64 matches to 104 matches. So this is a big time logistical thing to pull off here with this large scale event, 104 matches, 48 countries competing in 16 cities across 3 different countries. So Houston is fortunate to be one of the 16 cities here in North America who's hosting. We put together a bid. This process started back in 2018, and eventually we were named as a host city back in 2022. So we've been hard at work, both vying to bring the event to our region, but also organizing this event in our region. Houston will host 7 matches at NRG Stadium, sold out NRG Stadium. Aside from the 7 matches that we'll hold at NRG Stadium, we will have a 39-day fan festival that will take place in East Downtown Houston near the Houston Dynamo Stadium. Again, 39-day event, which is the duration of the tournament. It starts on June 11th next year in Mexico City. Match 1 and match 104 is in New York, with the final on July 19th. This is expected to bring more than 500,000 plus visitors to our region from throughout the world, and is expected to have an economic impact of $1.5 billion. It's easy to get there. The Super Bowl in 2017, which was 1 game on a Sunday, with about a week's worth of events, has an economic impact from a post report of $347 million. So again, 1 game, about 1 week's worth of events. We have 7 games. We have over 5 weeks, almost 6 weeks worth of events on the World Cup, which is an event that's on scale much bigger than the Super Bowl. And to help put that in perspective, the last Super Bowl, the Eagles and the Chiefs, I'm sure most of you in the room spent your Sunday together with family and friends watching it. The NFL touted it as the most watched Super Bowl of all time. 125 million people worldwide watch the Super Bowl. Every single game from here out of Houston will be viewed by 200 million people worldwide. So every single game is 85 million more than a Super Bowl. Sorry. So more than 1.3 billion viewers from across the world will tune in to see games from Houston. Again, we've been hard at work at this for a long time. FIFA is the governing body of soccer. They're based out of Switzerland. And when we started this quest, many people felt, maybe Houston wasn't going to be one of the 11 U.S. host cities. We had a big story to tell to win it. We had to talk about our region and all of the infrastructure. And we had to talk about the airports, and we had to talk about the hotels and the transportation system. We had to talk about our safety and security capabilities. We had to talk about the diversity of our community. We had to talk about sort of the region's ability to respond and react and perform well when it comes to big events. We talked about how Houston has hosted more major sporting events than any other city in North America since 2004, Super Bowls, Final Fours, All-Star games, international soccer tournaments. We've been there, we've done that. Promoters continue to come back to Houston because we make their events successful. So we're excited to be hosting this event. I could go on and on about this to talk about the scale and the opportunity here. I'll tell a quick story that I share quite often. I was with some representatives from FIFA. We were at one of the Houston hotels that's going to serve as a major headquarters for one of the events, and the FIFA officials were talking to the hotel general manager, and he was talking about how in 2018, when the World Cup was in Russia, Peru was playing a match in some Far East Russian city. If you know your geography, Peru is a long ways away from East Russia. And I'm sure it's not logistically easy to get there, nor is it inexpensive to do that. 40,000 Peruvians made their way from Peru to this Far East city for this match, okay? And only 15,000 of them actually had tickets to the match. The rest were there just to be close to the action, to be a part of the event, to feel it, to taste it. So when you think about that, and then you take into account our region and our accessibility to the world, especially that of South and Central America, where they're crazy for the sport, you can visualize how Houston and the region around it will be just bustling for the largest sporting event in the world that's about to come upon us here in now about 10 months' time. So, you know, we love the vision that you guys have for Visit Sugarland and the opportunity of using all the wonderful assets that you have in the city, assets that I've visited and spent time in, whether it's the baseball stadium or the concert facility or, you know, the center here. It's a great opportunity, I think, for you to help promote and market this city as an outstanding destination. And we want to be partners with you on that in front of the world stage to help tell your story and share your message. So like I said, I can go on, but I know Allison only wanted to take a few minutes here. So you want me to take a few questions, Allison, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that the initial question?
If there's any, just about the event in general, yeah.
How many surrounding cities are participating at this level?
We would, our deal says that you would be exclusive.
Okay.
We're not going to make this available to any other surrounding city. We of course have to promote Houston and Harris County, but as it pertains, you won't see the Woodlands or Pearland or Friendswood or Galveston or any of these other cities. We're giving you exclusivity on this as the sole city.
So what makes us special then?
Allison's vision.
Oh, come on.
We have an airport, obviously, but I'm saying compared to the Woodlands or any other local major city around Houston, I mean, when you sold Houston to FIFA, did Sugarland come up at all or no?
The region came up, right? We had to talk about the entire region of Houston. You know, one of the things that's actually special about what we have is that everything does take place in Houston. That's an advantage, but that's not enough. We have to talk about this entire region from Galveston to Sugarland to the Woodlands to Pearland. It's all important because there's going to be visitors everywhere. We need transportation planning for everything. We need safety and security planning for everything. So this is not just about the downtown city of Houston. This is not just about Harris County. This is about the entire region. But what makes Sugarland special is all the incredible assets that you have. And what's smart about the vision that Allison and the group has is using these assets very, very strategically to help promote your city as a destination for travel and tourism. And while you have that vision and that goal here, so does Houston. I mean, we all have to be telling our story, right? Houston's the 4th largest city in America. When we were talking to FIFA, nobody knew that. They knew Dallas, right? They knew Dallas. So I think this is the world stage, as I said before, the largest sporting event in the history of the world. There's going to be billions of eyeballs on it. And what makes this special is the vision that your community has to really take advantage of it, in my opinion. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. John, sorry.
I got one last question, Chris.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, do we get preferential ticket? You do. Good deal.
He asked how we're gonna get Mexico here. Just to be honest, we're not gonna have Mexico here. Mexico will be playing in Mexico, all of its matches, but it's okay. Because Mexico plays here all the time. Mexico was just here a couple of weeks ago. So this is an opportunity to bring in teams from Europe or Asia or, you know, South America, Africa, and to bring in some, and whatever it is, the World Cup will sell out every single game. So it's going to be awesome.
And I will say that there is quite a bit of information in the presentation that I'll be giving. So I would like to ask for you to try to keep your questions until the end because they might be answered later on in the presentation. But we will have time at the end. And so getting into the partnership agreement, we are looking at a sponsorship package with the host committee. It's $2.5 million to be funded over 3 fiscal years, 2025, 26, and 27. And it's to be split between the 3 funding sources, HOT, SLDC, and SL4B. And you guys should have in your packet with you those income statements through the next 3 years, showing that built into that. So just to reiterate, this is not an impact to the general fund. This is all coming from HOT and both of the corporations. I'll provide a little bit more about how we plan to leverage sponsorship to achieve our goals, and then so like Chris said, it's still my thunder a little bit on the facts, but I'm gonna hit them again. This is said to be FIFA's largest World Cup ever, and also the largest sporting event in history. Spanning 3 countries, 16 host cities, and 104 matches over 30 nights. And as he mentioned, Houston is set to host 7 of those matches, with the first game being on Sunday, June 14th. With most matches being 3 days apart, and the last one for us being the 4th of July. This happens to be the 250th birthday of our country as well. And we are one of only 2 cities hosting a match on the 4th of July. Which is a little bit different than the other days, because on some days, I think there's up to maybe 3 to 6 other countries hosting matches during that time. So our last match will be at the on the 4th of July, and all of the matches will be held at Energy Stadium. So like Chris mentioned, there is 16 host cities, and each host city has an official host committee. The Houston Host Committee is led by Chris, and they're really responsible for the success of the events and the experiences and activations that are planned throughout the host city. So Visit Sugar Land has been working with the host committee over the past couple of months, just to really understand how to best position ourselves and to really take advantage of the major events coming to the region. And so I'll share an overview of what is expected. As Chris mentioned, we have $1.5 billion in expected for economic impact for the region. And to put that into perspective, it's 4 times the impact of the last Super Bowl held in Houston, which was in 2017. And FIFA is projecting about 6.5 million fans to attend the 2026 games across those 3 countries. And again, when we compare the live viewing audiences for those final match from the last World Cup at 571 million to that of the last Super Bowl was 186 million. You can also see just this red portion right here from the last Super Bowl audience. Just this portion, the 62 million, was international audience, whereas FIFA has a large international audience. That just really goes to show just how truly of an international event and celebration this is. And Chris shared some facts about the Peruvians traveling to Russia. And then I also have another fact from the 2022 event in Qatar. There was 23 million tickets sold just within the first 24 hours of them being released, which is massive. And I would also like to point out that that's also without even knowing which teams are playing in the finals. So the way that World Cup works is that we don't find out which teams are playing until well after the tickets are released. So for us in this World Cup, the first phase of tickets are going to be released in September, so that's next month. But we won't find out which teams are actually playing until December when the final draw happens. So that's just fans blindly purchasing tickets, just knowing that they're going to get to be part of the experience and take part of the celebrations. So again, just emphasizing the fact that this is just such a huge celebration, and fans do travel extensively just to be part of that. So what does that mean for Sugar Land, and what can we expect for our city? As I mentioned before, we've really been working with the host committee to understand how to position ourselves for the events. With that, we've come up with 4 major goals for our city. The first, we have brand and destination awareness, and that's really just increasing awareness among visitors, businesses, and residents as a well sought after destination. And we do that through our Visit Sugar Land brand. hot and sales tax generation, that also comes with supporting our hotels, our venues, and our local businesses to generate those taxes. And then community engagement, that comes with us crafting those thoughtful events and activations that not only appeal to our visitors, but also to appeal to our residents, and just really encouraging them to embrace the opportunity and engage with the events, and just encouraging that they take place in all of the celebrations happening around the city. Also, we have airport activation. So with the increase in international audiences, the airport stands to gain a huge level of international exposure, and how we navigate that throughout the matches is going to be important. So as I move through the benefits of the sponsorship, you'll start to see how the benefits tie back to these 4 major goals. Also, earlier this year, the city developed a strategic action plan, which was designed to guide a shared vision for the city for over the next 3 years. And as a result of that action plan, developing a strategy to capitalize on World Cup was identified as a major project for this plan. So having that strategy aligns with 3 out of the 5 areas. So we have stimulating economic growth, boosting community reputation, and community engagement. So these are 3 of the 5 strategic areas that were identified throughout the planning process. And we do have a dedicated team on this project as part of the All-In Initiative. So getting into the benefits of the partnership, first I'd like to review the advertising benefits. We would have, with the partnership, we have the rights to use the official FIFA supporter logos, which you see here is the host city supporter logo alongside our Visit Sugar Land logo. So we would have the ability to launch co-branded marketing efforts, use the official supporter language across any campaigns, experiences, activations that we plan. And this is just an example of a co-branded billboard campaign. This is also just another mock-up of a co-branded visual using that joint branding. As you can see, both logos are on here as well. So without this partnership, we would not be allowed to tie our name to any FIFA branding or marketing assets to promote our city in relation to the UNSO. I know this slide is a little bit hard to see, but this is the homepage of our Visit Sugar Land website. You can see where this orange is circled at the top that says FIFA World Cup 26. And this partnership really allows us to promote our affiliation and have a dedicated landing page on our website. We can tailor it to our fans coming in the city looking for resources and things to do. So this access is also something that is generated through the partnership that we would not be able to do otherwise. Another example of a co-branded marketing campaign. And as Chris mentioned, we have negotiated exclusivity for our city within a 26 territory radius. And we are super excited about that because that means we will be the only destination within this territory to access the supporter benefits that you hear me mentioning throughout this agreement or throughout this presentation. So this is a huge advantage for us because this is a high profile event. So if we don't take advantage of this, I can definitely assure you that other cities and other DMOs will certainly be interested in taking advantage of these opportunities. We were fortunate enough to have some existing relationships with the host committee throughout our regional partnerships to where we've been able to take advantage of these conversations pretty early. And it's really put us in a great position to get these exclusive events. So we're really excited about that. Additionally, as the matches are promoted through the host committee, will be included as part of the overall host city marketing campaigns. And that could include the host city website, social channels, the official FIFA app, and international advertising and PR opportunities that are aligned with the campaign. This is a mock-up of the official Houston Fan Festival, which will be in Edo or East Downtown. This is going to be activated for 39 days and is expected to have about 500,000 attendees, as Chris mentioned. So this is really serving as Houston's official fan hub and viewing party. It's really the major, huge celebration outside of the matches. It's set to feature global cuisine, live entertainment, youth soccer activation zones, and VIP hospitality spaces. We'd have unique advertising opportunities such as screen and stage advertising. This is a mock-up here. You can see our logo on the large screen there. And we would also have additional opportunities to have our logo included on any promotional displays around the fan festival and inside the VIP and hospitality spaces. And this is just another mock-up. The Fan Fest is due to span multiple blocks. And this is the mock-up of the youth soccer activation zone. And then we have one that features kind of that global cuisine that I mentioned. And again, our agreement grants us exclusive activation in the fan space, the Fan Fest and all of the VIP spaces. Another benefit we would receive is a seat on the Houston Host Committee board, and we would also get a seat on one of the 3 subcommittee boards. So this really allows us to explore further opportunities as they come up to integrate our city into the events as we get deeper into the planning efforts. Additionally, we would be able to implement volunteer programs and volunteer appreciation programs throughout the city. In partnership with our restaurants, retailers, offering incentives for those volunteers and really, again, just drawing more visitors to the city and having them experience our city. We would also be given, Sugar Land employees would be given opportunity for host city volunteer positions. So as we keep mentioning, fans are going to be traveling in masses to the host cities and the surrounding areas, regardless of whether they have a match ticket or not. What does this mean for a hotel? So a lot of fans tend to create home bases where their teams can play the most matches. So our hotels are expecting to see a big surge in demand. For them, that means increased occupancy, increased room rates, and longer lengths of stay. Not only will there be a demand from fans, but for large events like this, travel planners are often looking for hotels outside of the major cities, away a little bit from the hustle and bustle to host their media crews or host fan experiences. And an example of that was during the Super Bowl, the Hyatt Place hosted ESPN's media team. And we can also anticipate high demand for our meeting and conference spaces from media groups, corporate events, and fan activations. So having that affiliation, the official affiliation with the host committee, it also boosts our visibility with the fans, but also our credibility with those travel planners looking for those options to put their groups. This partnership also creates a great opportunity for our venues, and we had some preliminary conversations with our venues, and they're very excited to capitalize on all the opportunities. They're open to a lot of possibilities. So it is a great chance for them to host events in collaboration with Visit Sugar Land and also the host committee. That can take form in many different ways. A few examples could be a final draw event, host committee events, or watch parties or private buyouts. It definitely increases awareness for our venues by drawing those high-profile attendees and media outlets, and it can also help them put them as top choices for future events and create relationships for future corporate sponsorships for those venues. It also creates an avenue for local businesses to engage as sponsors for those events and elevate their brand exposure to those international audiences that they're looking for. So overall, this is just a great opportunity for our venues to be included and to be activated, and they're very excited for that opportunity. So through this partnership, Sugar Land Regional Airport will be included as part of the overall transportation plans for the Houston region and be positioned as a premier travel option for VIP and our private visitors. We will leverage our international PR firm and local media to further the airport's exposure, not only during World Cup, but also for future corporate and private clients, helping them to expand their business opportunities in the future. So Visit Sugar Land and the airport have been and will continue to work collaboratively to really create a welcoming and engaging atmosphere to welcome our visitors into the city arriving today. And this is something we're also super excited about. We've also been working with key partners in our areas of the city. We're having those discussions with them about what possible events and activations could look like in their areas. And they have honestly just been so supportive of this partnership that we're pursuing. They're eager to start collaborating with us. They've been open to all possibilities, like I mentioned, and they're just excited to be part of the celebration. So some of those areas that we're looking to activate are Sugar Land Town Square, First Colony Mall area, Smart Financial Center, Constellation Field, Sugar Land Regional Airport, and some of those activations could be official watch parties, local Sugar Land Fan Fest, events at our major venues, or pop-up visitor centers and press events. And with the partnership, we would receive licensing to host watch parties. Without this partnership, we would have to apply for licensing and there would be fees associated with that as well. So as I mentioned, we've been working with our partners a lot lately. I do have some letters here that I got from our partners, letters of support. If you see Constellation Field, Sugar Land Regional Airport, Lou Hammond Group, which is our PR firm, Smart Financial Center, I think you also have copies of those letters in your packet. We're super excited to see this level of support from our partners and just to know that they're all on board. They really understand the importance of having those structured activations throughout the city and how we can all benefit as positioning ourselves as World Cup partners. And so we're really excited to see that. We're really excited that our partners are with us. Additionally, internally, we've been working together. We've been collaborating with our Office of Emergency Management, as well as other key departments such as fire, PD, traffic, and EMS. As I mentioned, there's a dedicated group committed to this project since it is an all initiative. So we're all in agreement that having planned activations throughout the city, it really allows us to take a proactive approach rather than by having those planned points of interest around the city, we can better anticipate where people are going to gather, when they're going to gather, and just allows us to plan better logistically from emergency management perspective, and also just make sure that we're coordinating all of our city resources effectively. You guys like this picture? Yeah, so we intend to invite our major employers to celebrate in the World Cup partnership with us. As they make a financial contribution to support our marketing plan, we can invite them to experience the World Cup through exclusive hospitality experiences and include them in city activations and events. So for that, for Sugar Land, that means being a host city supporter would elevate the city's profile within the greater Houston region and globally, reinforcing our reputation as a high-quality, business-friendly environment. And the visibility could attract companies seeking well-connected suburban locations in proximity to major events. So some of the invitations and the exclusive access is listed here. So they can really serve as a powerful business development tool. So they can be used to strengthen relationships with existing businesses as part of our retention efforts by just offering those experiences that show appreciation and our support for those businesses. But they can also offer an opportunity for attraction. We can host prospective developers, site selectors that really highlight Sugar Land's quality of life, proximity to major events, and access to its global market. So this hospitality package that we would receive is very rare, and it's really a great addition to the supporter package because without this partnership, we would not be able to partake in many of these experiences or activations. A lot of these are only included as with a host city invitation, and some of them will actually never go on sale to the general public. So the total ticketed value in the agreement is over $340,000. So to summarize, this partnership closely aligns with the core goals of Visit Sugar Land and also the city's strategic action plan. And it'll really allow us to show up and support our hotels, our venues, our businesses in just such a huge way. And it really will show our visitors what Sugar Land is all about. So the visitors are going to come to our city. We're going to be on a global stage, whether we decide to participate or not. So really embracing this opportunity and this partnership allows us to help craft that narrative and really showcase Sugar Land as a top destination and show the world who we really are. And like I said, if we do not capitalize on this opportunity, I can assure you that other destinations, other DMOs, other cities, so we recommend taking advantage of this partnership, and internally it will also help us establish a framework for that planning process. So after we hopefully get approval for this agreement, we will begin to dive deeper into the planning process internally with our internal departments, but also with our city partners, and really start to shape up what those activations around the city can look like. So as the next step, we will be bringing forth the host city supporter agreement in the coming weeks for your consideration. And there is 311 days left. So that is less than 8 until the World Cup matches begin. But planning starts right now. Do you guys have any questions?
I have one.
Yeah, I think it's more for Jim. Any NRG exposure? Any exposure in the NRG?
What do you mean? Oh, no, no, none of FIFA controls everything that happens inside the venue. So none of our partners are allowed to have any exposure inside the building or around it.
The matches, if I understand correctly, will look the same around those different venues around the country. Like FIFA controls all of that and wants it to look in a uniform way. So the Fan Fest is really the chance for Houston to tailor that to the city and provide those experiences and really just tell the Houston story. So having that exclusive activation at the Fan Fest is where we can really leverage that.
It might be important for me to point this out. So we're not FIFA. We are the Houston 2026 World Cup Host Committee. We're actually a nonprofit organization that was created by the Harris County and City of Houston and designated to operate this event. So we actually hold the contract with FIFA. So we're partners with them. The result of holding that contract, our organization has a responsibility of financially putting on this event. It's well north of $100 million to do that. So these sponsorships are actually going towards paying for this event so that it can come to our city so that we can meet all the FIFA requirements for the good of our city or for our region. At the end of the day, there's no profits. Either this money will go towards safety and security or transportation or any of the operations that need to take place to make this event happen for that $1.5 billion of economic impact, the billions of impressions, et cetera. However, in the event that we run this thing very smoothly and to the best of our ability, and there is a surplus, 100% of that surplus will go to legacy, right? And so the dollars that you've committed, in the event there's anything left, a portion of that will be going back into the community. And of course, we'll be working with you to make sure that Sugar Land and this community is a recipient of some of those legacy programs at the end of the day. So that's why we don't have, we have an arrangement with FIFA in terms of what we can and can't do on a commercial rights basis, and why we don't have access to the stadium, some of the other FIFA assets that brands are paying $300 million for. Yeah, so anyway, I thought that would maybe be this was a really good presentation. We could use.
You might able to ask questions.
I don't know, who are you?
Citizen.
Oh. Are citizens allowed to ask questions?
That was during public comment.
I'm so sorry, but if you would, to one of us, we might ask it.
Yeah, do you have any plan to measure the economic impact? Like, we are of course projecting, but City of Sugar Land, how do you plan to measure it?
Yeah, so we have many tools that we use to various ways of tracking economic impact. It can look very different depending on the details of those events that we've but we do intend to track all of the economic impact. We fully expect to get our return on investment on that 2.5 million, with all of our hotels being at capacity and taking advantage of all of those partner venue activations. But we do have numerous tools to track, and we fully intend to, and do some post-economic impact reports as well.
I have one more. So you, in the breakup, you said this is more internal to Sugar Land. Overall, I am very supportive of the idea. For SL4B, you had said 0.8 million. The money 2.5 to be split into 3 buckets. But on the sheet, which you said, the totals up to more than that. So maybe you can look at that later.
Breakdown?
Yeah, so SL4B was $800,000. But on SL4B page, it's actually 250 plus 500 plus 300.
I think a portion, Justin can speak to the.
Yeah, 250 in fiscal year 26 is going towards Sugar Land Town Square events that prior were funded by the TERS one, separate of this.
So that's in addition to this 2.5.
Correct.
Okay, because I was totaling and it won't tell you.
Yeah, that number.
That's total sponsorships. No.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, was one in?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. So lost my name tag. When it comes to the event sponsorships and everything else, a lot of the events you're talking about were in Edo or other parts of Houston. is there any opportunity, if we do move forward with something like this, is there any opportunity to have, either whether it's like a player meet and greet or anything like that in Sugar Land? I know a lot of the focus so far that we've been discussing has been in Houston.
Yeah, so.
Any plan to do big things like that in Sugar Land?
Bit more in detail, I know I briefly mentioned it on that venue activation, so we would have an opportunity to host city events at some of our venues. Kim, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on those opportunities?
Certainly, thank you. We have been talking about doing a soccer themed event at Smart Financial. So we're looking at that, we're looking at ways to bring activations to the airport. We've looked at viewing parties and some other kind of volunteer appreciation events that could happen around town center.
Yeah, so we do have opportunity, and also through our position on that host committee board, you know, we're still a year out, so there are going to be other opportunities that come up. And just having that connectivity with the host committee, that official affiliation, just puts us top priority to receive those opportunities and kind of vet those for our city as they come up.
Yes.
You mentioned the return on investment, right? For the city of Sugar Land. What was your expected, say, payback or return for the city on the $2.5 million?
I would say that we don't have a concrete number because, like I said, it can look many ways depending on what types of events we plan. I can reference the 2017 Super Bowl that we saw specific here in Sugar Land. Overall, that Super Bowl weekend, we generated about $90,000 in hot over that weekend. That is about 140% increase typical for that time frame. And our hotel saw a 61% increase in typical occupancy and 180% increase in rates for that period. So the demand for our hotels, the hot tax, the sales tax is going to be huge for us. But then also the revenue that we're bringing to our venues, bringing to our partners is also taken into consideration as that as well. But to your point, we don't have a concrete number because we don't have solidified plans yet, right? So using this agreement like as a catalyst to really start dive deep into that planning process to really tee up like what activations we want to do, because that depends on our partners as well. So we're looking into that.
What's the hotel tax revenue for the entire year? Out of curiosity.
For 2017, I don't have it. Just for reference, for last year, I think we were at about 2.8 million. I think this year it's going to be close to 3 million.
Elton, could you ask a question? Can you go to the slide where it has the event, like the 8 games? Just
Matches in Houston?
no. We got 3 weeks of activities in the city. I mean, not one Super Bowl game, but 3 weeks of activities. That's a huge opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Paul, I mean, when would we know what teams are gonna be here? You start promoting to those countries.
In December, the final draw will happen.
And will that group stage, it'll be those teams here the whole time?
No, so this isn't like the NCAA basketball tournament where you get assigned to a certain city. So all of those group stage matches will include teams from different groups.
Okay.
So it's not like Group A comes to Houston or Group B comes to Houston. This will be a mixed match. So we would expect, it won't automatically turn out this way, but it's possible that during the group stage with the 5 games, we get 10 different countries represented. So.
I think Suzanne was next.
I do have 2 questions. One from my friend Burgundy here at Burgundy. And she wants to know, and this is a good question, actually. Are we going to activate Crown Festival for a fan fest? And is that something we can look at?
It's something we've taken into consideration. If we did activate that space, it would be through a third-party private producer. It is very expensive to activate due to the lack of infrastructure out there. So if a private producer was interested, they could certainly activate that space, and we would look into if we had the city resources to accommodate it. Currently, for our special event application processes, we have this 39 days as a blackout period, until we can understand what we're doing internally as a city. Because we have to make sure that we have enough city resources to really accommodate everything that we want to do, but also to support the region as well when it comes to fire and PD and OEM.
Yeah, follow up, please. Totally different question. We had talked about a little bit, looking at corporate sponsorships that would subsidize our fees. Are we still looking into that?
Yes, ma'am. That was what I had referred to on the local business involvement slides. But yes, that is something we're looking into. We are giving our major employers in the city an opportunity to essentially buy into our sponsorship, which could offset some of our costs, and then sharing some of those benefits with those employers, such as those picketing opportunities, those invitations, and also promotional and branding opportunities at the events that we do here in the city.
One more follow. Do we have an anticipated amount that we're looking for, or are we just kind of going at it?
We are still developing like the tiered packages that we want to offer to those businesses. We were looking to offset we're looking to capture about $1 million in major employer sponsorship. That is our goal.
That's real substantial. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, follow up on Suzanne's question. So talking about the event, if you did something at Crown Plaza, is that something that would be, again, with this FIFA sponsorship, or if it's a third party that's organizing it for us, is that exclusive from, or excluded from this agreement?
That's excluded from this agreement. We would not plan to have an event at Crown Festival, a city produced event, I will say, just to the sheer fact of how expensive it is. It would need to be done by a third party producer who would be willing to front those costs and fund the event or whatever that is that they're wanting to do.
And then any of the events that we talk about within Sugarland that are part of this FIFA partnership, is that put on by the city or by FIFA directly, or how does that work?
The possible event, like the activations that we mentioned.
Yeah.
So many of those would be in partnership with our, with those partners that I mentioned, such as Town Square, Constellation Field, Smart Financial. So, we would help plan those activations for them. It kind of just depends on like what we're planning, but they would be in partnership with the city.
Final question. So you want us to give an idea of time frame? Like this is just a workshop, correct? Meaning we still have a lot of things to sort of in the future. You want to give us an idea what that time frame looks like and when the decision
Bringing
needs to be
the
made by?
agreement to you guys on the September 2nd council meeting.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Allison, and to our guests, thank you so much for being here, coming out to the provinces. We're glad to have you, and spend some money while you're here. Sanjay,
Yeah, I would make a motion to adjourn.
SLDC is adjourned.
Second. It's on the F4. Hell of a job, my Alice.